Hi everyone, it's time for the weekly video. I wasn't here yesterday because I was very busy and I was waiting on a delivery. I was waiting on this bad boy, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't know if we will have to keep calling it that when the next Mission Impossible installment, which I believe has been delayed, ends up being released with the different title that it may be handed. So we shall see. That will be very frustrating for me as a collector if there's a Dead Reckoning Part 1 and the next film is just called something like, you know, Mission Impossible, The End of the Entity, or whatever. But this is great, a 2-disc set, quite a lot of extra features on there that I would love to have time to explore, but who knows when that will happen. As you know, I keep busy with the blog. The link will be down there. I keep busy with the podcast, and I do my own viewing schedule. November is Noirvember. I'm already nicely settled into that. I've watched Croupier, which had a really nice Arrow video release. I might have shown off the disc at some point. That was a fun time. On Mubi in the UK, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead is a really good Sidney Lumet film, with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Ethan Hawke. Highly recommended. It's probably got to stay on there for a little while yet, but do get round to it. Too Late for Tears was another one that I enjoyed. I'm going to say it's from the 50s, but I can't remember the year. The Suspect, an older film with Charles Laughton in a main role that was really good. I think that was mid 1940s. Again, I'm just going off the top of my head here because I've not yet written the full reviews for those. And Pick Up on South Street, which is a Samuel Fuller film. And if you've not already delved into the filmography of Samuel Fuller, then you really should, because he just made brilliant films. They were entertaining, they had really great characters, and he came from a background of, I want to say he was in his mid-teens when he started journalism. And sort of, he either kind of brought that eye to things, or the sense of things being grounded, even when they were exploring quite shocking moments or more cinematic subject material. And he would often just filter everything through a really interesting, surprisingly morally right viewpoint. His moral compass would go all over in terms of what you were seeing on the movie, but it would always end up pointing really the right way before the end credits rolled. That's my experience anyway. If you've felt differently, then do discuss Samuel Fuller with us. We would be delighted to hear that. On the podcast this week, Mr. Hosley Sr. has given us a choice, and it is Gunpowder Milkshake, which is a fun action movie with a great central cast. So we'll see how that goes down with everyone. And then Dave has gone for Sapphire, which is a British movie from, again, I'm running rogue with dates here, but I'm going to say about the 1950s. Could be early 60s, but I think it's 50s. And that is on the Criterion channel if you are playing along at home. And if you are a British film fan who likes the idea of the Criterion channel, but was as annoyed by the lack of it here in the UK as I was, you can access it quite easily with a VPN. You can use your normal bank details for a subscription, and then once you've logged in and you're there, I can't remember the last time I used a VPN to access it. So you only need the VPN once to log in, and then you can just like come and go as you please. You know, people may frown upon that. I'm paying them £10 a month to access the movies that I would like to access. Sapphire's on there. I don't want to speak for Dave, but I thought he had seen it before he picked it for us. So so I think he would recommend people at least give it a watch. Now, October's over. It's been over a while now. And a lot of podcasts were doing a lot of extra content throughout October. And the same things would pop up on some podcasts. Bear in mind, I listen to like well over 100 podcasts at this point. Well, I try to. So there would be discussions of certain films, and the rumour mill behind those films, and sensational stories that were worth mentioning as tidbits. There would be discussion of certain notorious news stories over the years, things that were largely sort of rubbished. There were rumours that were then put to bed. A couple of these podcasts did do their due diligence and mention things within the context of, this is rubbish, but this is a tale attached to this movie at the time. Quite a few didn't, and that's annoying and frustrating when you hear it repeatedly from different podcasts. Now, for example, we did a special or two specials covering the Child's Play franchise a couple of years ago, a year or two ago, and I was going to mention something relevant to that franchise with one of the main movies in the series. And Dave quite rightly said, let's not give that any airtime. It's, it's nonsense, and it doesn't warrant being regurgitated and being brought up. So we didn't. Many people have mentioned that, and there's only one person I had mentioned that story that would then emphasise, but it's rubbish. But it was tied to this film, but it's rubbish. So this reminded me of the peril of taking everything you hear from podcasts for granted, as not necessarily as fact, but people can give the impression that they're speaking with an informed opinion, and I know that we certainly don't always give that impression, and there's a reason for that. We would rather discuss our opinions and our own views because we know that it's just a film as filtered through our minds. That's where we're coming from, rather than reel off a lot of extra information from, say, Wikipedia or IMDb, both of which can be really flawed, and they are built from user data. Most of the time, is that the right word? Like, it's users who add the information there. Now, I have dropped factoids every now and again, and I enjoy that, but it's usually from listening to commentary tracks or exploring a disc. And if we do make a mistake, we try and correct ourselves either in the episode or in the next episode. That's why if we're ever doing a video episode, it would be a disaster, because we need about 12 tabs up. We're always double checking things. We're going into the past filmographies of people that we're discussing. I have terrible recollection when it comes to dates and sort of definite checklists of every film I've watched. So I kind of have the computer equivalent of a Rolodex up that I'm flicking through all the time. But some people, I think, might listen to our favourite podcasters or might take IMDb on board as kind of a fact. And I think I may have mentioned these before. If you are checking out movies on your own time and you're making a journey through cinema, if you're reviewing films or whether you're just more interested in films, try not to just rely on the internet. People always say you can get everything at your fingertips. You can, but it doesn't mean it's the right stuff. What I have here on my bookshelf, I've got a Halliwell's film guide, a Time Out film guide, older ones, and a Who's Who in the movies. And I'm going to put these down now because they're very heavy. I bought those a while ago. They're very cheap. They're second hand. Didn't buy any new ones. What I do is I can cross-reference things when I'm checking. Now, that's not to say that printed works are free from error or the potential for error, but they do tend to go through a few more checks. They can't be altered on the whim of someone who wants to just joke around and fool everyone. Nowhere in those books will be an extra credit for Quentin Tarantino as he tried to bulk up his CV and get himself work. That just doesn't happen. So, you know, I just wanted to really reinforce the idea of, like, let's not have the internet cloak us in this essence of assuredness and confidence. Not everything on there is correct. A lot of it is, and it's a very handy resource. But do check out other resources. I got those massive books for like a few pounds each. But if you have discs, there are usually great features on a lot of the discs now that have the directors or the cast members and the writers, different people involved in the film, giving their memories of the production, giving extra information about the production. You have film critics and historians giving information on there. I've known some of them in conversation on social media, and they're enthusiastic about sharing their knowledge, and they're passionate about films, and that is the kind of informed opinion I want to hear, and I hope that other people would want to hear if they are exploring different films, whether it's in your comfort zone or whether it's out with your comfort zone. So that's it. I don't want to badmouth anyone. This isn't me being down on other podcasts or other podcasters' film reviews. It is just a note stemming from my mental notes, from what I've heard and what tends to crop up repeatedly, especially in October, especially with horror movies, and some of the big titles are revisited again and again. Even the you have the tidbit about Poltergeist and real skeletons were used in this pool, etc. And then, you know, a lot of times in movies, real skeletons can be used because they are skeletons. Like they can be bought for use. It's not necessarily the big thing it's made out to be, because from there tends to be just a hop, skip and a jump to the curse of Poltergeist and everything done that way. And then it's just you're really just sort of making something that isn't there. And you probably know this if you've already watched the Cursed movie selection on Shudder, the documentary features. So you know, a word of warning, that's all this is, a word of caution. But that's it. That's all from me this week. Mission Impossible time, November will continue apace. I'm looking forward to, I've owned Gangster Squad for a while, and I'm going to watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime at the moment, so I'm going to pick that. I don't know, I'm lining up lots of others and having a good time. It is always good to have a break away from the horror. I think our special this month will be a feel-good movie special, because we're staying away from at least outright horror for a while. So that should be good fun. Thanks to everyone who's jumped on board. The subscriber numbers have kept creeping up, and I really appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed any of this video. If you just dipped in and out, you won't see this bit, so it doesn't matter. All links will be below. That is it. It's only Tuesday, and I'm still dazed as if it's Monday. Can only apologise. Anyway, until next week.